gourmet ranch. So as you've seen in the beginning of the video, there are green beans and they're ready to be peeled, snapped, canned, whatever we're gonna do. So today I'm gonna take you guys along with me to make dilly beans. They're kind of like pickled, like pickles, but they're green beans instead of pickles. And they're really good, and I love to use them as a snack. So y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it.
Okay, so let's get into making these dilly beans. If you like a sweet, savory treat, they're kind of like dill pickles, but they're a little bit more spicier. If you have not tried these, you should try them because they're awesome. So just like any other pickling recipe, we're going to can these, and I'm going to show you how to make the brine, and then we're going to start off with just cleaning up our jars and sterilizing them first. So that's what you're seeing me do now. So this recipe calls for any kind of green bean, whatever's your favorite green bean you can use. This one right here is called Blue Lakes. That's what I planted in my garden. And we had a few of these that I could harvest, so I took the opportunity, even though this is only going to give me about 3 jars. But basically all you're going to do is clip the ends off of these. Sometimes I use scissors, sometimes I just break them off. These were kind of a little bit overgrown. I should have picked them earlier so they were very, very crisp. Whenever you're pickling, that's one of the key points, is pick them when they're at their crispest moment. Hubby's helping me out, or he thinks he is anyway, but I'm just explaining to him how to make these. So I get me a little bag because all the little ends off of these you can totally feed to your chickens. And as y'all know, if you've watched my vlogs before this one, I do feed my garden scraps to my chickens, and it's healthy for them. So I'm just breaking the ends off of these, and that is it. That's all you have to do, is just take the very tips of them off, because no one likes to eat the string part of it. And then we're going to give these a big wash, and then I'll show y'all the next process. Okay, so one of the things my granny always taught me is always sterilize your jars right before you can anything. So when you saw me filling up this pot with water, I probably need to get my water bath canner out because these didn't fit the way I wanted them to, but I didn't think I needed a big one because I was only doing 3. But basically all you do is get your pot of water boiling, and it sterilizes the inside of your glass jars. So even though I washed these with Dawn and dried them out, I still want to sterilize them. It doesn't have to be done, but it's just a precaution to keep your jars and everything clean. It's something that I've always done. You don't have to do it, but it is a good tip just to keep everything warm. And then I start to put my lids inside of some boiling water so they can the seals on them start to move up, so that it'll be easier to can this. Then I'll go back to finishing up clipping the ends of the beans off and making sure that I've got everything cleaned and where it's supposed to be. And then I'll wash these one really good time, and then we're going to get started on putting them in the jars. So moving back to the jars, after they've started coming to a boil, I'm going to remove these. I have no idea what happened to my jar picker-upper thingy that I don't know what it's called, but I couldn't find it. So we're just working with what we got, and it's a pair of tongs. So garden life, you just use what you got and what's left around. I'll find them here in a minute. I'm sure I will. But just take these off and put these on a cooling rack. I always do this just because I don't want to make the jars like scorch or get too cold too fast, because that was what causes your glasses to break. So I just set these over here on a drying rack, and then I'm going to move on to putting these lids away, and then we're going to put the dilly beans inside of these jars after they've cooled enough to where you can handle them. Now we're going to get started on making the brine. And this is just the pickling juice that you're going to use to put inside of your dilly beans. Mine's very basic. It doesn't take a whole lot. It does have a little bit of spice, so I'll show you at the end what I use. So you're going to start off with about 2 cups of white distilled vinegar. Here I'm just making sure I got like 2 cups of white distilled vinegar. And then you're going to add 2 cups of water. So the ratio is 2 to 2. And then we're going to get this combined. At this point, I think I've got it set on like a medium heat, because all you're doing is you're going to dissolve this. I use sea salt. You can use pink Himalayan salt, pickling salt, whichever salt, and I overdid it just a little bit, but only calls for 2 tablespoons of salt. So I just did a half, and I'm going to stir this in, make sure it's good and combined. And you don't want this boiling. All you're going to do is just dissolve the salt and the rest of the ingredients and stay with it, don't leave it. And then you're going to add about 2.5 teaspoons of dill, depending on how many jars you're making. Like I said, I'm making 3, so this is going to be a very small batch, and it doesn't take a whole lot. Right here is where you could totally stop the brine if you don't want to add any spice, but I'm going to add just a little bit of spice. This is red pepper flakes, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of red pepper flakes, and then I'm just going to combine these ingredients. And again, all you're doing is dissolving these ingredients, just letting the flavors kind of marinate in here. You're not going to get it up to a boil. It's not on high heat, so just keep stirring until the salt is dissolved. And then we're going to turn it off, and then I'll show you what comes next.
So now that I've got my brine going and my green beans already done, I'm going to add cloves of garlic to my jar and then fill them up with green beans. I typically just do 1 because I find that 2 is too garlicky, but you can add 2 if you want to. It won't hurt a thing. So let's get these done.
So while I'm getting the brine, I turn that down on a very low setting because I don't want it to get cold. I want it to stay kind of warm, but not scorching hot. So all I'm doing is I am packing these jars packed tight with these green beans. If they are up above the rims just a little bit, just go back through and grab you a pair of kitchen scissors that you use to cut up vegetables and stuff and trim the top so the lids will lay flat on them, otherwise it will not seal. Here I'm just showing you the jar where it comes up just above it. So what I'm going to do is just trim the tops of these off. Always, always, always wipe the rim of your jars with vinegar. It just cleans everything off. Anything that's stuck on there, like a piece of leaf or any kind of liquid, will stop the curing process and stop it from sealing all the way through. Okay, so now that I've got the tops of these wiped off, I've just gotten me a measuring cup and that hot warm brine. I'm going to pour almost to the tip top, but I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch headspace in between to put the lids on. I find the easiest way to pour this is just get you a measuring cup that's big enough to hold all of it, because I've seen a lot of people doing this with ladles, but you'll burn yourself doing that, and I always do it with a measuring cup just because it's easier to pour in. And you'll see me stirring that up. I couldn't find a spoon. Scissors was the best thing I could find. So I'm going to add some of those seasonings and finish topping all of these jars off, and then we're going to add the lids to it. If y'all try this recipe, drop a comment below. I'd love to know if you liked it or didn't like it, but I love it and my family loves it. So moving on to the lids. Those were on the stove for about 5 minutes. It doesn't take very long. Don't get it boiling. You're just warming up the lids and just getting them warm. And then we're going to top the lids on every single jar, and then we're going to put the rings on them, and we're only going to tighten them about a 1/2 turn. You're not going to get them like crushed down tight, just get them hand tight. Okay, so like I said, moving on to the next part, we're just going to get these like kind of snug, but not like cranked all the way down, because we want to leave a little bit of headspace for the air bubbles in the jar to escape, because we're going to stick these into the water bath and let them set for 10 minutes, and then we're going to pull them out and I'll show you the next step. Now on to the water bathing. Basically all you're going to do is add a boiling pot of water. This isn't boiling just yet, it's just warm enough, and you're going to add it to your pot just above the rim and let it boil for about 10 minutes, and then they'll be ready to remove. Okay, so now you're just going to water bath candies for 10 minutes. It really doesn't matter, especially if you're going to let them sit in your fridge and you're going to eat them right away, but if you're really keen on them, you really need to water bath these for 10 minutes. Okay, so now that these is water bathed for 10 minutes, I'm just going to pull them out. I don't recommend using tongs. I will link the right tool below, because I will find this after I get done doing this video. I just didn't edit it out because I wasn't going to redo the whole thing. But set these aside, let them sit on your countertop for about an hour or two. You will hear them pop. If you guys try this recipe, please tag me, let me know what you thought about it. I absolutely love these. We take these camping, we take these in the car, on road trips, everywhere. It's just a quick, easy, healthy little snack that you can have on the road, on the go. That concludes the vlogs. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for this Friday because I'm doing pickles. See y'all!